What's up, guys? Was that as lame as I thought it was? Yes. It's Mark Dell'Olio's 500th sweater here, back at it again with the fresh content that's very topical content, okay? This stuff's important, alright? Noticed you guys peeping my Amazon Prime history here. That has nothing to do with the topic at hand. This has to do with the topic at hand. So these three guys, and this guy, because I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be the Heisei-era Godzilla? Heisei? I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name, because that's like one of my favorite versions of Godzilla. But he's green for some reason, and he's really thick. Honestly, look, this dude's got thighs for days. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about today, right? We're talking about today, as the title suggests, is Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. It has been so many years since I have seen this film. I watched it earlier today, and I'm going to watch it again with you guys just to review it and go over some of the highlights that had me rolling. Had me deep in thought, because this is a very philosophical movie. Really questions what it is to be a human and the essence of society itself, and how we're going to proceed into the future. And you heard that last part right. For those of you who have not seen this movie, if I told you that a three-headed dragon that shoots energy beams out of its mouth is not the strangest thing in this movie, I don't know if you would believe me. This movie's got everything, okay? But let's just get into it. Okay, I know it's the opening. So the first time that I saw this, I didn't realize that this was like a massive cut ahead to the future by like over 200 years. Submarine, couple people that we think are people. Little spoiler right there. In a submarine, and they're cruising along the ocean floor, and they find a deceased, or what appears to be a deceased, King Ghidorah.
That one there?
Yes, it's King Ghidorah.
And this idiot is like, and it's got two heads. Fool, do you not see that massive appendage that's jutting out in between the two heads? On top of that, so this probably would have been, I'm sorry, this is only the beginning, but I'm already ranting real quick. On top of that, this would have been, an alien monster invading Earth, a massive creature that's so much bigger than Godzilla. You'll see later in the film how much bigger King Ghidorah is than Godzilla. So don't you think that even like 200 years later, you would remember that it had three heads? It's probably getting taught in history class, right? Because at this point, kaiju are like a thing. I mean, shoot, we know like the sex life of Edgar Allan Poe, Don't you think we would remember a giant creature invading Earth? I don't know. Maybe I'm the idiot here. All right, in this next scene, we get the shell dropped on us that aliens are real, okay? But in a world of Godzilla, that's not too insane to comprehend. Do you know what I mean? Immediately after that, we get our main characters introduced for the movie, who's a reporter, and much like me on every other cool event that's happened to our moon or meteor showers or anything like that, he slept through it. I'm usually in bed by like 9:30, 10 o'clock. So, I feel this man's pain. He wasn't able to see the UFO.
Are you awake?
Yeah, I'm already showered.
Did you see the UFO last night?
No, I went to bed early. I was exhausted last night.
Also, for some reason, before we go any farther, a lot of the characters in this have kind of an unsettling Australian accent. I don't know who came up with the idea for that, because this all takes place in Japan. So he's on the phone with this lady, right? And she's like, hey, you should probably, go and report on this, because this is like a big deal. This was real. Thousands of people saw it, and it's being reported as fact. And he's like,
Hey, ask Yao, he's the UFO expert. I told you I'm fed up with writing all that sort of nonsense. Tell you what, I'll write non-fiction. I'll write serious stuff such as arts and literature.
No, I don't believe in that science fiction mumbo-jumbo. Bro, you're a reporter, regardless. This could literally be the scoop of a lifetime, where we already have giant dinosaurs that breathe flames and atomic radiation all over the place. You know, all of a sudden we have visitors from the stars. You know what I mean? Instead of investigate the first time we have ever been contacted by extraterrestrial life, he wants to go talk to this nut job at Dinosaur Land. I don't know.
A long time ago, in a far-off land, I saw a real live dinosaur. You don't know about this dinosaur. You don't know what it was like. But I certainly do.
After we get introduced to this insane person that for some reason this reporter wants to prioritize over, let me repeat this one more time, extraterrestrial life visiting our planet for the first time, we learn that he was in World War II, he was a Japanese soldier, pretty cool, and we figure out that a Godzilla of sorts, a giant dinosaur, was the reason he's alive. He's the reason that this man is alive. It defended him from the US troops that were trying to take the island and presumably kill them.
It must be. There's just no other explanation.
There is yet another interesting report from the ESP Research Institute. Please, gentlemen, listen to Miss Miki Sakusa.
Gentlemen, there's something I'd like to show you in the satellite photographs. Please watch your screen carefully.
Next, we discovered that the government is not completely inept. They're actually looking into where this UFO is, who it is, what's going on there, and we are introduced to my first crush ever on screen, and I'm not making this up, old Mickey here, and I do not know why, but for some reason, young Marcus was like, I want to marry that girl. And by young, I mean like, we hadn't even left Florida yet. 5? So predictably, we learn that because of the H-bomb, because of the, nuclear explosions that happened near Japan, on Japan I mean, that the dinosaur that defended the crazy old man is actually old G-Man now. He got mutated, because that's how nuclear radiation works. Don't question it, it's a Godzilla movie. Next, our main character talks to some wealthy businessman, and, it goes pretty much exactly as all of these monster movies go, because I'm pretty sure these are the ones that invented the tropes that the rest follow. Our reporter guy, he's like, hey man, I believe there was a dinosaur back there because of this other insane person's ramblings that is shutting off museums for some reason and freaking... Anyways, I could rant about that guy for a little bit. I know you were a major, I know that you were in the same kind of company as him, so just tell me, is this insane person correct? After a long period of silence, of course he's like, oh, I have to go to an unexplained meeting, So, standard monster movie stuff so far.
I do call myself an expert in dinosaur studies. But I'm sorry to tell you, I've never seen a live one.
Are you saying not even on Lagos Island?
On Lagos?
I believe there was a dinosaur on Lagos Island in 1944. Mr. Shindo.
I'm very sorry, young man, but I have to go to Kyushu for a meeting right now.
Now we're introduced to the aliens, the ones that through the sky, and this is when stuff gets real. And we see this very impressive show of video effects, if you want to call it that.
A hologram.
We're gonna zoom through this a little bit because I just realized there's a lot more to this movie. We're just setting everything up. Okay, it's like a slow burn, okay? Godzilla movies are slow burns. You need to remember that, okay? You uncultured swine. So we learned that the aliens are not actually aliens. They're humans from the future, 200 plus years in the future, right? We also learned that the time machine is invented in the 21st century. So scientists, you know, we're about what is that? Not a quarter, 1/5 of the way through it. So maybe speed that up a little bit. We're introduced to these three little things right here, and they are kind of terrifying, I'm not gonna lie. Gee, I wonder what they look almost identical to, just with one head. I wonder what's gonna happen with these creatures. Okay, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I actually do kind of find them a little cute. It's just the practical effects. Look, we'll get into it at the end, but the practical effects of this movie, I mean, it just makes me feel good, makes me feel wholesome. I don't know what it is, coupled with like the super 90s aesthetic of everything, where everything's just a little grainy, you know, the TV's a little bit off. Maybe the color gradient's a little bit off in those scenes. The phones are massive. Man, I love it. Hey man, hit subscribe if you're a 90s baby. Also, it is at this point that the main premise of this movie is introduced. What they're gonna do is, follow me here. Here is the central plot of Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, okay? Step 1, have a time machine, okay? Step 2, time paradox. The idea of a time paradox is discussed in this movie, which is why the World War II vet, neither one of them can go back to the time that they're trying to, because both of those guys would exist exactly at the same point in time, and one of them would disappear. And it is a dice roll as to figure out which one disappears. It's a coin toss, because it's only 50-50. Third, I don't know what I did for that 3. Using this time paradox, we're going to kill Godzilla. We're gonna kill Godzilla with this, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring back the already established from the vets to this point in time, so that the Godzilla that exists in our timeline will be destroyed. 4, profit. There we go. Bro, I completely forgot. So this weirdo here, that for some reason has to say time warp every single time that they've got to jump time, I don't know why,
Time warp.
is actually a cyborg. He's not a human being, okay? Not a cyborg, he's an android. He's a robot, okay? That is essential for later on in the movie. Do not forget that, but I kept forgetting that in my first viewing of this today, and I'm sure when I was a kid I totally didn't remember. Friggin' ADHD, you know? Holes in my brain, I don't know, too much friggin' lead paint chips that I ate when I was a kid. I don't know, let's keep watching. I'm gonna show you the following scene, unedited, because I couldn't make something like this up. It's out here skating through the forest. I don't know what it was about this scene, but the first time I saw it today, I like actually cried. I was laughing so hard at it. And this is, I'm getting just as much enjoyment out of it the next. So then he stumbles upon all the World War II vets we've already seen in the film. And, oh shoot, I just realized I messed up King Ghidorah's name. Hold on, we gotta put spec on that name. I already told you all this. And pretty much, they're gonna die. And they know they're gonna die. I always really like stories about characters that just are doomed and they know they're doomed, but they're not super pessimistic about it. These guys are essentially just like, we gotta, we're gonna charge the Americans and we're gonna take as many of them down with us as we possibly can. So in the charge that they think they're gonna die in, all of a sudden a Godzillasaurus comes out, which is what it is called, I swear to God, in the universe, and decides, not today, and attacks the Americans. The main reason he attacks the Americans, in my opinion, is not to save the Japanese people, it's just because the Americans were the first ones to shoot him. So he's like, he gets shot, he sees green is shooting at him, and he goes after green instead of khaki. So then they lure the Godzillasaurus to the coastline. The naval gunfire is able to hit him from there. So they fire into the, into the island. injuring Godzilla, as you can see. He collapses, and the naval operator says this.
Hey, got him!
Take that, you dinosaur.
Which is arguably the best line in all of cinema. I want to get "take that, you dinosaur" translated in every single human language that's ever existed, tattooed all over my body. It's perfect cinema. This is cinema. Martin Scorsese, who? More like Martin who? You know? MCU? Baby movies? You know, Godzilla gets back up after the GIs storm him, scares a bunch of them off, kills a bunch of them, and is just like, you know, generally a menace. You gotta take a sleep, you know, because he was just hit with naval gunfire. And as he's just kind of sitting there trying to go to sleep, you know, hurting all over, the main Japanese vet comes over and he's like, you know, salute you, Godzilla, because you're a great creature. Thank you so much for saving us. You're the real MVP. And then they leave him. They evacuate the island because they realize that it's gonna get overrun eventually with American soldiers. After they leave him, our heroes go over there, collect the Godzillasaurus, bring him into the 20th century. Godzilla is no more because of the time paradox, like I discussed. Number 2. Once we get back to the 20th century, doing something mean to it, we discover that maybe the people from the future didn't have the best intentions, especially since they brought back the baby King Ghidorah. Not only this, but it is discovered that old girl, the main kind of bad girl, oh, she a bad girl, you know what I mean? She's bad. Real talk though, she kind of hot. Left the 3 baby Ghidorah things, this animal here, back in the past, and then when the nuclear testing and nuclear bombs went off, they fused together somehow and became King Ghidorah, which now is destroying all of humanity.
But Amy intentionally left the door outside to be exposed to radioactivity.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Mickey. The main bad girl, and let me tell you, she's bad, flies over in this jetpack looking thing, which just leads to the goofiest green screen you ever saw in your entire life, aside from in the beginning of this movie. And discloses the entire evil plan, this whole future humans empire, the idea that they're going back, they're trying to basically create a new world order, an NWO, you know? Then that cyborg becomes a good guy. He's no longer just I keep wanting to call them aliens. I am so sorry. He's no longer just a bad guy, just an evil cyborg from the future. He is now a normal cyborg that's on the side of our protagonist, just like every single AI ever in science fiction is. It is then discovered that they actually didn't kill Godzilla. Technically, they killed the one they had that was just kind of like an environmental, like an eco-fascist. But they didn't kill a separate one that evolved on the same island, which is not an eco-fascist, it's just a straight terrorist. All it wants to do is kill. You know, it's a lot more aggressive, but even still, it's gonna fight King Ghidorah, because, you know, the only thing that 2 giant animals can do when they meet one another is fight. Everybody knows that. It's political science 101. So Godzilla gets absolutely destroyed like he usually does at the beginning of these fights. All of a sudden, the humans that have been infiltrating the future humans' ship, they beat them, they destroy the supercomputer that's controlling King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah snaps out of its hypnosis and is completely confused as to where it is or what it's doing, and then gets absolutely bodied by Godzilla. destructive rampage, because he's not the same Godzilla from before. You know, that would just take like a piece of the city or maybe a nuclear power plant here and there. This Godzilla is like, hey, I'm gonna destroy everything you love and hold dear, right? So he goes through the city, blowing stuff up, and one of the future humans hatches a plan with the corpse of King Ghidorah, which is essentially to make a mecha King Ghidorah. This little guy here, and possibly one of my favorite creations from the Godzilla lore ever. I love Mecha King Ghidorah because I love mechas, right? And of course it's going to be controlled by the bad girl from this whole time, Mrs. Future Human herself. So she goes and she fights Godzilla, and like all but loses before pulling a magical grappling hook, you know, out of thin air. Essentially they just go out and they carry it into the water. Essentially this is Mechagodzilla 3. You know, Mechagodzilla 3 ripped off this, I guess. I don't know.
I know that.
She goes back to the future and all is well with the world. Godzilla's sealed away. Or is he? In the final fight with Godzilla, well, before the final fight happens, I suppose, we get a nice send-off to one of the war vets. He's like, look, I've built up this city. It was pretty much nothing when I found it, and now look how good it is, but Godzilla has destroyed the whole thing. I deserve to die with it. Pretty emotional. I really enjoy the scene, honestly, even though that I can still take, like, I can still joke about it, you know? I'm not above joking about everything. So what did I think about Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah? I absolutely loved it. This is a immediate sequel to Godzilla vs. Biollante, which is my first, hey, I'm gonna let you know this little secret. That's my first Godzilla movie I ever watched. One of these days I would really like to go back and watch Godzilla vs. Biollante again. I don't know if I would think of it as in such high esteem as I do right now, because it's kind of my godfather, honestly. This movie, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, I don't know. As far as Godzilla movies go, I rate it very highly. It's a very good Godzilla movie. There's not too much Godzilla in it. There's not too much monster fighting in it. What it essentially is a struggle within the people group that we're following. I'll have this rant one day. We're not following Godzilla like we would have followed Pacific Rim. We're not following Godzilla for the massive fights. We're following Godzilla for the people. Honestly, I kind of found the people pretty endearing in this. I really enjoyed the people, and I'm really happy I could share one of my favorite Godzilla movies. One of the first ones I ever saw with you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please subscribe, like, leave a comment down below telling me I should get off my lazy butt and do a Godzilla vs. Biollante thing. Whatever you want to say. Alright, this is the Wild West. Do whatever you want to do. Be whoever you want to be. Most importantly, always take the stairs. Remember, if you get too tired on the road, please give me a call. I'll always be here for you. That extra 2 hours of drive time is not worth your life. Maybe one of these days I will go into detail as to why sleeping behind the wheel is not a good idea. Once again, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Take that, you dinosaur.